Wherever you are in the world, good day, good people, good day, and welcome to Wow, Wish Only Well Live television show, where I am your host, SherVonne Grose, marriage and family therapist, inspirational coach, and motivational speaker. It's Wednesday, guys. It is a wonderful Wednesday indeed. And you know what we do on Wednesdays? We wow. That's right. We wow, wish only well all across the world. Listen, I am so super excited about my special guest who is already in the studio with me today. And she is backstage getting ready to come out and get this conversation started. But you know how we do, guys. We have to properly introduce our guests, right? Before they come out. So before I properly introduce her, though, I do just want to take a minute just to thank all of the fabulous, the phenomenal ladies, the women of worth who came out to the women of worth, the Wow Women of Worth Symposium on Saturday. It took place on September the 17th. Just a beautiful, beautiful turnout. Shout out to everyone who did anything to help push this event and to help make this event a success. So truly incredibly thankful for everything, every like, every share, word of mouth, whatever you did to help push this event, to help make it what it really was. I know a lot of you said that you weren't able to come, but it is all good, right? I thank you for everything that you did. Some of you couldn't come, but you still purchased tickets or made donations. We had some sponsors, and I will share those sponsors a little bit later at the end of the show. So, listen, I want to go ahead on and introduce our special guest, right, for today. Her name is Carla Havior. And so, listen, guys, let me tell you about Carla Havior, all the good things that she has going on, and then you will be able to put a face to who I'm about to introduce you to. Okay. All right. Good deal. So listen, guys, Carla Havior is the owner and CEO of Clearview Solutions LLC. She is a licensed professional counselor, a certified trainer, and life coach. Carla graduated from Georgia State University with a bachelor's degree in psychology and her master's in rehabilitation counseling. She has over 15 years. That makes her an expert in her field, right? She has over 15 years of experience working in mental health, in the mental health profession. Ms. Havior has worked in various agencies, including the Department of Corrections, the Department of Juvenile Justice, a community service board, and the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities. We call that DBHDD for those of you who may be more familiar with the acronym. Okay. So throughout Carla's career, she has worked with adults and adolescents in institutional settings and in the community, providing individual counseling, group counseling, family counseling, linking to appropriate resources, as well as coordination and collaboration of services with community partners. Carla is a certified mental health first aid trainer and certified SSI, SSDI, outreach, access, and recovery, or SOAR trainer. She has presented workshops for DBHDD, AIDS Atlanta, and several faith-based communities. Listen, guys, Carla is also the author of the book Journey to Destiny, and we will have conversation about her book. So listen, guys, without further ado, let's welcome to the show none other than Miss Carla Havior. I'm sorry, I almost got choked. I don't even have my little cup up there. Hey, Carla.
Good evening.
How are you?
Wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. We're so happy that you are joining us on today on Wow, so that we can have a discussion about your book, Journey to Destiny. So, how have you been today? What's the day been? What's been going on with you today? Has the day been bringing you all sorts of good things?
Just work. But I'm here now, and I'm glad to be with you. Glad to have a discussion with you, and hope that it goes well.
It will go. It will go well. Yes, it will indeed. Listen, I'm excited about you being here and being able to talk with us about not only your book, but we just want to hear about Carla Havior and just things that you know that you have going on. And so I know one of the things we talked about, previously was you having a company, right? So you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So which is just great how there's so many women that are just becoming their own, bosses, right?
Right.
Starting their own agency. So it's just I love it. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but other than I love it. So tell us what Clearview Solutions, which is the name of your company, Clearview Solutions LLC. Tell us what Clearview Solutions has to offer.
Well, Clearview Solution is again a company that I founded to educate communities about the importance of emotional and mental wellness and how it impacts their whole quality of life. And we do that by providing trainings, workshop, and I also do life coaching with individuals that need help clarifying and setting life goals.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so it sounds like you guys do more than just counseling there as well, from what I hear. So, you are an LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor. Sometimes, in therapy, people see the credentials or the letters. They're credentials to us because we know what they mean, but to people who may not be familiar with that. They just see letters behind our names and kind of wonder what exactly
Right.
those letters about. And so you're a licensed professional counselor, and you're also a life coach. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, right. Oh my God. So that's kind of like having the best of both worlds, so to speak. So if someone doesn't really want to come for therapy, then you can provide, life coach services to them. So, but tell me, and the guests, educate us, if you would, about what mental clarity is.
Okay, and just to clarify, right now, I'm not doing individual counseling. I'm
Okay.
doing more coaching and trainings.
Hmm.
But mental clarity is a state of mind where you're able to focus and your perception is clear.
Hmm.
And when you have clarity, you're able to understand and perceive and organize your thoughts, clearly. So, what we do is we help people to identify goals that they may have or may want to accomplish. And then we identify barriers to those goals, set up and develop strategies to overcome those barriers, and then set benchmarks so we can have a something to measure by how close they are to achieving those
Uh-huh.
goals. And then more importantly, we develop a system of accountability because a lot of people don't have people to hold them accountable, so that they give up.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, right? When you talk about accountability, because that's so important, especially when you're trying to achieve certain goals. And so it's always helpful. A lot of times we think of accountability like when we are, uh, I'll say this because, as a matter of fact, I was just in a chat with my girlfriends, and we have mutual friends, by
Right.
the way. And so I was in the chat with them, and so we were talking about we're trying to make sure that we're healthy, like in all areas of in our lives, right? And so that includes taking care of our physical body. So
Right.
we're trying to watch what we eat and make sure we're getting exercise and things of that nature. And
Right.
so we do that so that we can have accountability, right? So that
Right.
we can stay on track and whatever. And so I'll share this with you. So our mutual friend Kimberly Wright Brown posted this morning and said, "How's it going with W.W?" And I was like, "What is W.W?"
Okay.
So W.W is Weight Watchers,
Weight
right? And
Watchers,
so I
yeah.
got tickled. So I said, "Well, I guess you know what that means for me. If I had to ask
Right.
myself what is W.W, that
That means
probably
you're not doing it.
that I have not been doing what I need to do."
Right.
But so yeah, so it's always good to just have people that's in your corner to help hold you accountable so that
Right.
you're more likely to achieve what it is that you want to achieve.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. And so you've described perfectly what mental clarity is and how you help people to do that. Like you help them to set goals and
Hmm.
things of that nature. Okay, to kind of help them to stay on task with what it is that they want to do. So I know that you mentioned that you're not doing individual counseling anymore, but you've done you did counseling for quite a number of years.
I
Um,
did.
yeah, was it about 15 or more?
I think I was actively counseling with a caseload somewhere around 8 years.
Hmm.
Um, but when you do counseling, you have a passion for what you're doing and the people that you're serving, it can be very draining. So I found myself not having anything to give when I came home. So I stepped away from doing the individual counseling. I have done it volunteer basis here and there, but I do more life coaching, because people generally know what they need to do.
Yep.
But when
Yep.
they get caught up in life and
Right.
the other things going on, that sometimes it gets foggy, and they can't think straight.
Yeah.
So just kind of helping them process and come to a conclusion of what they're trying to accomplish, what it takes to get there, and how what path to go down.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I do keep my counseling license very active because you never know where you might go back to. And
Yeah.
I
You
always end up doing counseling unofficially anyway.
Yeah, like you just can't get away from it. Once you're
Right.
actually in, no matter how hard you try, it just kind of comes. Yeah, so I definitely get it. Right, it is a lot that is, that is entailed when you're doing counseling, because it's being there in an intimate setting and having that level of conversation, and being able to provide, be in that atmosphere where the person can feel safe and be able to share
Mhm.
that information. It definitely requires you to make sure that you got those boundaries in check, right? And that you can, and let's be honest, because we're human. Sometimes it's hard to just shake it. If
It
you've
is.
had, a real a client that had a real heavy situation going on, and you
Right.
find yourself thinking about it, or you may not intentionally want to
Right.
bring it home, but sometimes it happens that
It
way.
does.
So if we be honest with ourselves about that, so kudos for you for knowing what you needed,
Right.
and you did what you needed to do to take care of you. But
Yeah.
and since we're talking about counseling and mental health, sometimes it's hard for people to really accept that they really need mental health or therapy, because sometimes the word therapy just doesn't sound very appealing to people,
Right.
because there's,
Stigma.
yeah, the stigma behind it,
Right.
right? And so it's easier for me to just deal with the current like situation, the top level, just help me to get here. I don't want to have to deal with all of the underlying issues that may present, right? So it's easier, not saying that it's easier, but people sometimes would prefer to get life coaching as opposed to actually getting therapy. And everyone doesn't need therapy. Let's clarify
Yep,
that too.
everybody doesn't need therapy.
Right,
Everybody doesn't need medication.
right.
The misconception is a lot of people think that mental health and mental illness are the same thing, and it's not. Because when we talk about mental health, we're talking about how people respond to stress, how they deal with emotions, how they interact with others, how they comprehend and perceive circumstances in their life, and sometimes how they view life in general. But when we
Mhm.
talk about mental illness, we're talking about it's characterized by changes in your thoughts, in your behaviors, in your mood, and those things cause an impairment on your functioning, like your daily
Mhm.
functioning, how you at work, at home, how you interact with people. And so there's a big difference. You can have a mental health challenge and not have a mental illness, but then there are other people that
Uh-huh.
those challenges persist over an amount of time, and like I said, it impairs their ability to function, and those people may meet criteria for a mental health diagnosis. And it's
Mhm.
actually more prevalent than most people realize, because 1 in 5 adults have some form in the US have some form of mental illness or challenges, when one
Mhm.
in 24 have a serious mental illness. So it's way more prevalent than people know. But like I said, because of stigma, a lot of people won't get the help that they need, because every
Mhm.
time you hear anything in the media about mental health or mental illness, it has a negative connotation on it. Somebody
Mhm.
just did a mass shooting, or somebody died by suicide. Everything related to mental illness that you hear is negative, and people don't want to be associated with that. So
Yeah.
it's really important that we start having these conversations to normalize seeking help so that people can have a better quality of life, because people are dealing with it, whether they talk about it or not. It's a lot of people that are suffering in silence,
You're right.
especially in the faith-based community, which I'm
Mhm.
really passionate about right now, because there's a misconception that all you have to do is pray and have faith and everything's gonna be all right. And I'm not devaluing prayer; is definitely essential, but
Mhm.
faith without works is dead. And
Yeah.
God put people and
Mhm.
resources in place
Mhm.
for us to utilize. So
Mhm.
if a person has a pain in their chest, they have no problem going to the doctor and
Right.
getting medication or doing whatever that doctor tells them to do to make sure that they live. But
Mhm.
when it's a problem with their emotions or their mind, they're more reluctant to seek help. And like we
Mhm.
said, everybody doesn't need medication. Some people just need to talk. Some
Mhm.
people just need a safe place to process what they're going through. But
Mhm.
like I said, once we normalize mental health and talking about issues, then people will be more willing to seek the help that they need. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm so passionate about doing the training and educating people, especially the body of Christ, because the church it's a place where anybody can come off the street. And
Yeah.
you never know what a person is walking in the door with. And
Mhm.
at a minimum, leaders need to know how to lead somebody to get help, how to de-escalate a situation if something arises, and who to call in the event that something happens, because it's a public entity. You can never say who's going to walk through your door, and they just need to make sure that they're equipped first by knowing the signs and symptoms and knowing what to do when they see it.
Yes, absolutely. I absolutely love that you've said that, because that's part of the W.O.W symposium that we have was actually at a church, and that was purposely done
Mhm.
because as we talk about self care, I always say that self care is an important prerequisite to
Mhm.
having good mental health. It's you got to
It's
it's
necessary.
necessary. Yeah. And so a part of that, though, when we think about self care, a lot of times we just think about what we can do to take care of our physical being,
Mhm.
right? But we're spiritual beings as well. And
Mhm.
so for me, I always say I make no apologies about it because of my faith and my belief in God and my belief in Jesus, right? And so this is what this network, Elevation TV, is all about.
All right.
Right. And so we took it to church, so to speak, so that we could have conversations. And it was very enlightening, to say the least, right?
Mhm.
To just utilize that. But I was glad that we were able to bring that into the church and have that level of conversation that we did have. And we discovered, when I say we, the presenters that were doing a lot of the breakdown, that did the breakdown sessions. We talked about how now we need to go back and bridge that gap, right, between what happened and not just leave these people who had the opportunity to share in a safe space to leave them vulnerable. What is the next? How do we bridge the gap
Right.
to
After
get
you
them
open
to
that
where,
door, what's
yeah,
the next step?
to where
Yeah.
it is, so that they can get the healing, the help, to be able to grow beyond what they may currently be going through. Because,
And
like
to
you
be
said,
whole. To
yeah,
be whole,
they
you need to be
know.
mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy to be whole.
Right. Because people do, you're right, absolutely. People will sit and suffer in silence because of the stigma, because of the shame,
Mhm.
because of the hurt, because of a lot of things, because they
Right.
said I shouldn't be going to therapy. I'm a believer in Christ, or I pray to God. And so, it doesn't look good that, looks like I don't have faith if I'm not going out and getting. But I say this, I've always
We
said,
need to put the message out that it's okay to pray and seek help.
yes,
It's okay.
exactly. Exactly. And this is what I love about God, because he's very intentional, right? When he created the heavens and the earth, he gave us everything that we need right here on this earth, right? And it's just not by chance that
Right.
therapists are here, right?
Right.
We're right. So we have a purpose, and that purpose, I mean, and not just with therapists, but you got psychiatrists,
Right.
psychologists, and the
Right.
list goes on, right? And now you have life and life coaches. So I mean, so you have a lot, every whatever we need within this earth, right, is here for us,
It's
right? To
available.
take
Yeah.
advantage of, right? It's available to us. So listen, let's go into talk about your own personal experience with mental health. In your book, Journey to Destiny, you share about being overwhelmed by depression and anxiety. Please share with us about this and why you felt compelled to share it in your book.
Okay. Well, like you said, this is my book, Journey to Destiny, and
Mhm.
it's available on Amazon. Um, I talk about a season in my life where I was in a city by myself without any friends, without any family. My marriage was coming to an end. I hated my job. Just everything that could go wrong was wrong. And I found myself being depressed and having anxiety attacks. Um, but what I did is I wore a mask, so to speak, because I held it together at work, wore this smile, did everything I needed to do. But by the time I got home, I was so drained physically and mentally, all I could do was lay down. And I had two small kids, so I would put them in front of the TV and lay down, and then get up, feed them, and lay down, and then get up, put them in the bed, and lay down. I mean, that's all I had energy to do. And by the grace of God, He kept them because I was not able to attend to them like I needed to. I'm thankful that I was in the mental health field, so I did recognize, hey, something's not right, and I was able to get help. But as far as being why I told my story, simply because God told me to, because I did not want to tell my story. I remember doing a training in a church and God leading me to share my testimony. And I was like, and I did push back. I was like, Lord, I don't want these people in my business.
Mhm.
And the Holy Spirit said, that's not your business, that's your testimony. And
Mhm.
then me being the person that I am, I was like, okay, well, if you want me to tell it, you need to tell me what part I need to tell because I don't want to talk about this. And the more I told my story, people kept saying, wow, you need to write a book. I was like, okay. And then the more I told it, and more people kept saying, you need to write a book. And when those suggestions got closer and closer, I was like, okay, Lord, you telling me I need to write a book. So I was like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, tell me, lead me and guide me on what you want me to share, how you
Mhm.
want me to share it, and put it into people's hands that need to read it so that they hopefully can read my story, utilize the tools that I use, and get help and get healed. But no, I didn't want to do it.
it's it's amazing, and I share the same sentiment, so I definitely understand because I'm the same way. Even with doing this, like being out front and center, because I was so comfortable taking the back seat, right? Being behind the scenes. And I've always been a motivator and an encourager. I would just, I'd be the one behind pushing other people to go forth and do the things that they needed to do. While just kind of, dimming my own light and,
Right.
not, getting out there and doing that. So I definitely understand that. But more importantly, we have to make sure we move when God tell us to move and that we do
Right.
what it is, because our stories, basically is for his glory. Our stories are for his glory.
Right.
So we have to share, so that other people can be encouraged to get the healing that they need. Sometimes all people need to know is that they're not in a situation alone. It's not
Right.
just them, right?
Right.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that if I got through it, then maybe they can get through it as well. Because our story holds more weight and our encouragement holds more weight when a person knows that you've been through what they are going through. They feel like you understand, and it makes them feel like, okay, well, she got through that, so maybe I can too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure, definitely. I think it's Stephanie Mills. I always go back to this because it's my favorite line in the song. I think it's Stephanie Mills' song, and I need to look it up because I referenced that before, and I don't know if I'm calling the right artist or not. But she has her song starts. I don't even know the name of the song, but she starts out saying that experience is a good teacher.
Oh, okay. I know that
Right.
song. It is.
I agree. I say that we've gotten all the education that we need, right? The theories, learned about the theories and how to be able to the applications we need to be effective as therapists in terms
Right.
of how the process actually goes. But it's something about actually having that personal, that life experience too, that adds
Right.
to me, that makes the person more valuable and more of an expert in their field of what is nothing like being able to relate to the person that's sitting
Right.
across from you as they share their story. Right. And so now we may not be able to relate to every single thing that happened, but
Exactly.
I do believe that our assignments come to us for a reason. And
Right.
a lot of times we can identify with what it is that they are feeling. It may not be the exact same situation, but it may have been something some
Exactly.
can help people. We can help people with what they are going through. So good.
Right.
So you were experiencing some significant mental health challenges, and those challenges became even more overwhelming as you were faced with divorce, as you mentioned, and later on becoming a single parent. Um,
Right.
Take us on a journey, if you can, on your journey from brokenness to healing and growth. You know, tell us
Well,
about.
it definitely was, but by the grace of God. I did a lot of praying and a lot of fasting, and I had to ask God, Lord, show me and give me the strength to deal with whatever you show me. And I did journaling. I had my prayer partners and my accountability partners, those people in your circle that's gonna give you the ugly, honest truth and hold you accountable. And they prayed with me. And when I didn't have the strength, they prayed for me. So I did the work. Even though I had faith and I prayed, God said, okay, you do your part, I'll do my part. And the more and more I shared my story, the more and more I healed. And when I got to the point where I felt like, okay, I've done all I can do, I don't know what else to do next, then I went back to counseling. Yeah.
Good. And I think that's important that you pointed it out because even the therapist needs to see a therapist sometime, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I've mentioned this before too. A doctor is not able to treat him or herself. So sometimes the doctor needs to see a doctor. A nurse needs to get advice from another nurse. So it's no different than a therapist because we're human. And so we're
Right.
going to experience things in life too that shakes us or takes us down a path. We experience trauma, we experience
Right.
grief. We experience things that any other person would experience. It's just that we've been trained to deal with it. But we can't always process and just treat ourselves either. So
Right.
sometimes we do have to sit before, a colleague or another therapist, someone to
Right.
just,
And we take on so much other stuff from
yeah,
other people, and we pour out so much and nobody's pouring back into us. So it's good to recognize when you need somebody to pour into you.
for real, seriously, yes. So what do you attribute to your growth and how do you use your experience to empower others and help them heal?
My growth is by the grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to do the work. I had to decide whether I wanted to continue to wallow in pain and self pity, or whether I wanted to get better and be the best version of myself that I could be.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I had been pitiful and in pain long enough, and I was
Mm-hmm.
ready to work on myself. But I had to do the work. I
Mm-hmm.
had to do the work. And once I did it, and the more I shared my story, as I mentioned before, healing came through that. Healing came through me writing the book, and my goal is just that, like I said, maybe if somebody else can read the book and it can inspire them to get help to use the tools that I use, so they can have a better quality of life. Then my God's will has been done.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. I'm so grateful that again that you came on and share. So put your book up again so people will know your book and that they can go to Amazon and get Journey to Destiny. and that they can find out more about Carla Havior and what she does at Clearview Solutions LL.com. Got some awesome things going on that you do. You do a lot of workshops and training and life coaching. So go check out Carla's website and get the book, guys. Read the book because she's not going to come on here and tell you all the nuggets. Go get the book, and so we encourage you to do that. Again, thank you so much, Carla, for taking time out of your schedule to come and share with the viewers of WOW.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So that's all of our time for today. Don't forget tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, WOW Wish Only Well radio show will broadcast, and then we'll come back again next week with another phenomenal guest at 7 p.m. Eastern Time right here on elevationtvnetwork.com. All right, guys, you know what we do. We wow any day. Not just on Wednesday, but every day is a good day to wow someone. And by wow, I mean to wish only well all across the world. So we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.